Module Overview. Institutions and legal frameworks are the backbone of governance. Without robust, independent, and well-structured institutions, even the best policies or democratic ideals may collapse under the weight of corruption, inefficiency, or power abuse. This module examines the design, function, interdependence, and challenges of institutions in governance, and how legal frameworks provide the rules, boundaries, and legitimacy required for sustainable accountability and transparency. We analyze not just formal institutions like the legislature, judiciary, and executive, but also auxiliary watchdogs, regulatory agencies, and non-state actors that have acquired institutional relevance over time. The module further evaluates constitutional principles, rule of law, administrative laws, civil service codes, public financial management laws, and global standards such as UNCAC and the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance. Understanding institutions in the context of governance. Institutions are systems of established and enduring rules, norms, and structures that guide decision-making, behavior, policy enforcement, and conflict resolution in society. They can be formal institutions, codified structures like parliaments, courts, public agencies, law enforcement bodies; informal institutions, unwritten rules, cultural norms, patronage systems, and religious councils. Good governance relies on formal institutions being independent, legally empowered, transparent, efficient, and citizen-oriented. These institutions should possess organizational capacity, budgetary autonomy, qualified professionals, clear mandates and internal control systems. Pillar institutions of governance and oversight. Here are key governance institutions, their roles, and how they reinforce transparency and accountability. A. Legislature makes laws that shape governance, approves budgets and international agreements, exercises oversight over the executive through hearings, committees, e.g., Public Accounts Committee, represents citizens' interests in policymaking. B. Executive institutions include the presidency, ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAS. Implement laws and deliver public services, should act within the bounds of constitutional authority. C. Judiciary interprets laws and resolves disputes, ensures compliance with constitutional provisions, provides a check on legislative and executive excesses. D. Anti-corruption and integrity agencies, ICPC, EFCC, CCB, CCT, Public Complaints Commission, tasked with investigating and prosecuting corruption, code of conduct breaches, and abuse of office. E. Regulatory and audit institutions, Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Auditor General's Office, ensure compliance with financial laws, ethical procurement, and budget discipline. F. Ombudsman and human rights institutions. Institutions like the National Human Rights Commission or Public Defender offices ensure access to justice, administrative fairness, and social equity. Legal frameworks, foundations of governance. Legal frameworks refer to the body of laws, rules, and constitutional instruments that shape how governance institutions operate. These include the Constitution, supreme law defining powers, duties, separation of powers, and fundamental rights. Freedom of information, FOI. Laws, mandate information access and transparency. Public Procurement Acts regulate how governments procure goods and services. Whistleblower protection laws encourage the reporting of wrongdoing. Code of conduct. Laws set ethical standards for public officers. Anti-corruption laws define corrupt practices, offenses, and penalties. Budget and fiscal responsibility laws promote economic accountability and budget discipline. Strong legal frameworks provide predictability, rule-based decision-making, limits on discretionary abuse, a basis for citizen claims and institutional obligations. Global standards and institutional norms. Countries are increasingly aligning their institutional reforms with international conventions and governance indicators, including UN Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, OECD Principles of Corporate Governance, African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, Extractive Industries, Transparency Initiative, EITI, World Bank, Worldwide Governance Indicators, WGI Open Government Partnership, OGP standards. These instruments promote cross-border cooperation in law enforcement, harmonized standards in ethics and transparency, peer review mechanisms, legal reforms to close loopholes, interdependence and checks and balances. No institution can effectively promote good governance in isolation. That is why democratic systems rely on checks and balances among the three branches of government, horizontal accountability between oversight institutions, vertical accountability involving citizens and civic actors, judicial remedies to correct executive or legislative overreach, audits and evaluations to ensure continuous improvement. A well-designed legal institutional framework enhances transparency in service delivery, fiscal responsibility, political accountability. Challenges facing institutions and legal systems. Despite institutional arrangements and legal texts, many governance systems suffer from political interference, selective enforcement of laws, institutional duplication and overlap, poor funding and capacity corruption within watchdog agencies, delayed judicial processes, lack of enforcement mechanisms, ambiguities in legal provisions. These challenges reduce the credibility, functionality, and authority of institutions. Strengthening institutions and legal mechanisms. Strategies include institutional reforms that clarify mandates and eliminate redundancies, legal audits and harmonization of conflicting laws, capacity building for staff in law enforcement and oversight roles, independent and transparent judicial appointments, digital governance and case management systems, stronger civil society engagement in oversight roles, open justice and e-legal systems. Case studies and global examples. South Africa's Constitutional Court, a model for judicial activism and rights protection. Ghana's Office of the Special Prosecutor, focused on elite corruption. Nigeria's Bureau of Public Procurement and Freedom of Information Act, tools for procurement and data access. India's RTI law, empowering citizens at scale. Scandinavian countries, strong ombudsman and public audit traditions. Conclusion of module. Effective governance is anchored in well-functioning institutions and robust legal systems. Institutions provide the structure, and laws provide the boundaries and tools for executing governance duties with fairness, accountability, and transparency. This module equips you to critically assess, strengthen, and work within institutional and legal systems to promote democratic governance and public trust.